Hello everyone. For this video, I'll be discussing the FE Core, microwave test, Nicobine, and the Loran positioning system. I think that both Nicobine and Loran are terrific introductory topics for the upcoming FE Core microwave long distance test this week. Like Nicobine, microwave transmissions are supposed to be line of sight transmissions. You can see that evidence here, and there are multiple sources confirming the same. According to Mike Kavanaugh, the president of FE Core, the tentative microwave transmission distance will be a record distance of 307 kilometers or 191 miles. One tower is supposed to be 300 meters above sea level, and the other will be at 100 meters above sea level, with both towers at a height of 40 meters. Of course, the transmission will not be over Kansas, but I went ahead and plug the information over flat land with a distance of 307 kilometers and a tower height of 204 meters on one side to compensate for the elevation and 40 meters on the other, and we get a line of sight height of roughly 1,635 meters or 5,364 feet. That is more than a mile. Those numbers should be pretty close. In other words, the microwave transmission should be absolutely blocked by the curvature of the Earth, if there is any. Of course, other factors could cause the transmission to fail as well, and so we wish FE Core optimal conditions because this is huge, in my opinion. If FE Core is successful, we're going to see a lot of Globe supporters scrambling to come up with new theories as to the, new electric ducting zones and other nonsense. Just like when Marconi sent the transatlantic radio transmission, we saw the creation of the ionosphere, or the Nicobine system resulting in proclamations about ground-hugging high-frequency waves. Personally, I find the lame Globe excuses entertaining. I urge everyone to watch the FE Core test live. It's $10 to potentially watch history in the making. That's definitely worth it, and projects like this do cost them money, and so they could use the help. But let's move on to Nicobine for another point I wanted to make. As I discussed before with respect to the Nicobine discovery, there were two beams, one from Stolberg, located 443 miles away from Derby. The second was from Cleve, 331 miles from Derby.
Stolberg. This was the location of a second Nicobine transmitter in Schleswig-Holstein. This station provided the crossbeam for the one at Cleve. The bomber pilot could use the Cleve beam for direction, flying along its equisignal. Then, when near the target, the receiver would be tuned to the crossbeam from Stolberg to give the range. First he would fly through the dots to reach the constant tone of the equisignal, and when he was in the center of the crossbeam, the target would be directly beneath the bomber. The massive aerials of the Nicobine station could be swung to locate the beams over any target. The captured documents even gave the frequencies in use, 30 and 31.5 megacycles.
With hidden heights at approximately 64,844 feet and 117,504 feet, there was no way for these Nicobine systems to have line of sight with bombers that only flew at 19,200 feet. If you remember, Wikipedia got that horribly wrong, because it said that the bombers were in line of sight. Or, well, maybe Wikipedia was admitting that there is no curvature. Regardless, Wikipedia basically said that Nicobine was a line-of-sight system. This article here also says that the technology of the Nicobine system was limited by line of sight. Now, the next article was actually sent to me by a Globe supporter named Maya Jordovic. Unfortunately, Maya read it wrong and became nonsensically convinced that there was a bridge airplane that enabled the signal to wrap around the curvature. Maya didn't realize that the article was referring to the bombers, not an imaginary bridge plane. Sorry, Maya. Although your flat Earth support was unwitting, I still wanted to thank you, Maya. The article supplied by our Globe friend Maya comes from the Leicestershire Historian. In the article, we're introduced to Dr. Hans Plendel, who developed the Nicobine system. According to the article, Plendel also knew that the primary purpose of these bombers was to fly long distances from home over enemy territory and set their bombs down right on the selected targets, and his new mission became the development of a system to help the pilots and navigators find their targets. Apart from getting a VHF beam that's very high-frequency beam to be sufficiently narrowly concentrated, and powerful enough to reach enemy territory, there was the curvature of the Earth to deal with. VHF beams do not bend round the Earth. And Plendl reasoned that if the transmitting aerial was on high ground, and if the aircraft, that's the bombers, 200 miles away, was high enough, then a beam capable of being picked up by the Lorenz equipment in each bomber could be used for target finding. In great secrecy, Plendl conceived the Knickebein system. It consisted of Lorenz-type transmissions, but turned round the other way, with signaling bases at Cleve, just over the Dutch border in Germany, and at Bredstedt in northern Germany. A Luftwaffe bomber heading for a British city, for example, Birmingham, would leave its airfield and eventually fly into the outward beam from Cleve. When the pilot got into the equisignal area, he knew he was on course. When the pilot picked up the Bredstedt signal, he knew it was time to drop his bombs. Like Wikipedia, this article got it wrong, too, as the distance from Stolberg to Derby was 443 miles, not 200 miles, with a hidden height of 117,504 feet. There was simply no line of sight, even though Knickebein was a line-of-sight system. Again, VHF beams do not bend round the Earth. But let's get to the Loran proof of the flat Earth. If you're a long-time subscriber of mine, this isn't really new information. Here's a short clip regarding the Loran system.
Operating 24 hours a day, numerous nations maintain a network of Loran transmitting stations to service the major shipping lanes. There are a pair here, for example, Sisconset and Bodie Island.
I'm just going to interject here that the distance between these two Loran stations was 482 miles. The Sisconset Tower was 625 feet tall with a maximum elevation of 10 feet, putting us at 635 feet or 194 meters. Based on this old photo of the Bodie Island Loran station, the towers at Bodie Island were smaller than the 156-foot lighthouse, but I still put the towers at a height of 50 meters. If you plug in the tower heights and the very low elevations in a line-of-sight calculator, you get a water and earth curvature bulge between the towers at a tremendous height of 7.25 miles. A bulge between the towers of 7.25 miles.
One is known as the master station, the other is the slave. For a moment, consider these two stations operating as a synchronous pair, simultaneously emitting short pulses of radio energy. Leaving both shore stations simultaneously, a pair of pulses travel out into space, in all directions, at a constant speed, roughly 186,000 miles per second, or the speed of light. Plus, the pulse from the closer station will reach the ship an instant before the pulse from the other station.
As the video stated, the radio pulses, which appear over a flat Earth in the video, move at the alleged speed of light at 186,000 miles per second. The official explanation of this huge curvature hop at the speed of light is the claim that these low-frequency waves follow the curvature of the Earth, also called ground wave propagation. Just like the ionospheric bouncing, ground wave propagation is also suspect. But what's funny about this is that the Knickebein system was composed of VHF beams. That would exclude Knickebein for ground wave propagation. The Knickebein beam from Cleve was 31.5 megahertz, but ground wave propagation must be below 3 megahertz. Again, VHF beams do not bend round the Earth. Marconi's transatlantic radio transmission, Knickebein, and Loran are all tremendous proofs of the flat Earth. Will FE Core bring us another huge proof? Well, we'll find out this week. Stay tuned.